following program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
Hi, welcome to The Ring and All Other Sports. My name is Leo Connors. I'm your host, and tonight I got two guests. I got former professional wrestling manager and published author twice, Sean Gorham, and as my co-host, Maverick Wild. Guys, thanks for being here.
Thank you. You know, when you sent me the email asking me to be on the show, my first thought was like, wow, cable access is like still a thing. Yeah. And then I was just like, wait a minute, cable television is still a thing? But you know, I'm glad to be here.
All right.
I had nothing else going on.
Nice.
Cheers to you.
All right, so Sean, where did you grow up?
I grew up in the small town of Medfield, Massachusetts. It's about 20 miles outside of Boston. Any boxing fan?
Huge boxing fan. Peter McNeely.
Hurricane Peter McNeely.
I grew up in Lowell, Mickey Ward, one of my good friends.
Right. Peter McNeely, for those watching, he was the guy who fought Mike Tyson the first bout after Tyson got released from prison. That's pretty much the only thing Medfield is known for besides Shutter Island was filmed at the mental hospital there, which is where I was born and raised.
Okay. I will say this about the hospital.
The mental hospital.
Hey, I will say this about Peter McNeely, though, right? He had no fear, man. That bell rang, he ran right after him, man. I give him a lot of credit.
Let me tell you something. Tyson respected him.
Right.
After that fight, whenever Tyson was in Boston, he would send a limousine to Medfield to pick up Peter McNeely.
Nice.
And he said, Peter McNeely had the heart of a lion.
He did.
And if you watch that bout, he just charges right at him.
Sure did.
He might have been coked up. You know?
He might have been.
I don't think I'm speaking out of school because he later on, admitted that he has issues. But he definitely had no fear that night.
Right.
But
remember Michael Spinks fought him and was like, couldn't move, man. He was so scared.
Yeah.
You know, McNeely, gotta give him a lot of credit.
It's amazing what a little white courage will
Absolutely.
do. I'll fight Mike Tyson right now.
Exactly. All right, so Sean, when did you first see pro wrestling?
I remember the exact day. And I get into it in my book that's not here on the table. Until We're Strangers Again. Available now on Amazon.com or wherever fine books are sold. No, I actually remember the exact day and moment that I saw professional wrestling. And I think this is true for like a lot of wrestlers, right? They say they just saw it and they were just immediately hooked. And I am one of those dudes. I used to spend the weekends at my grandmother's house, and my Uncle Mike lived there. My Uncle Mike looked and sounded exactly like Vince McMahon. He usually watched the Three Stooges. But I walked in the living room and he was sitting on the sofa and kind of flipping through the channels. And, he came to wrestling and, I thought it was boxing because I saw the ring. And it was Sheik and Volkov with Blassie against two jobbers. And this is very telling, I guess, about like my life and like what I ended up doing in professional wrestling because my Uncle Mike, he pointed at Classy Freddie Blassie and he said, "Hey pal, watch this guy. He's great." And I was just, wow, what is going on? Right. What is this? And that was it. So that was probably, I guess, in the early 80s at some point.
No, I had heard actually on another interview you did that you were actually a really big fan of Roddy Piper too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I listened to the two that he did with Jamie and Rich today. I had already listened to them once, but I wanted to re-listen to them.
Obsessed with Roddy Piper.
Right.
It's funny because at that time, you weren't supposed to like Roddy Piper.
Right, exactly.
But I was completely drawn to him.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I get a little Freudian in the book as to like figure out why I was drawn to like the most hated man in America at that time.
Yeah.
But man, I remember they had Roddy Piper's Greatest Hits. Remember that VHS clamshell?
Yes.
I rented that every freaking weekend from the local video store, and I actually mowed lawns. This is probably when I was like 11 or 12. I mowed lawns all summer. That thing, I almost swore, but I didn't. That tape cost $49. That tape cost like $49 in the 80s.
Yep.
In the 80s, I had to send away for it in the back of Pro Wrestling Illustrated. And I still, to this day, can recite every promo on that tape. I was just completely transfixed. And to this day, I'll still watch Roddy Piper.
Yeah.
And I remember Alex Arion and I were talking backstage one time about Piper, and Al said something. Al said, to this day, I don't know if he was just legitimately crazy or just a master manipulator. I still have no idea, and I kind of don't either.
Right.
But he was unbelievable.
No, he was, definitely. I remember the first time I saw him was on a TV match, and he didn't even win. It was a draw.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I had already knew him because I started buying the magazines in, I'm old, Sean, 1972.
Yeah.
So I was 7 years old. Bought all the magazines I could. My dad never said no. You know what I mean? I always buy him the magazines. So I knew who Piper was.
Yeah.
Then to see him come on TV and have a draw, I was just like, what's going on here?
Was that when he first came in, basically
Yes.
for like
I was
the
about to
Madison
say
Square
that.
Garden deal?
I just watched that a week ago.
Oh, you did? Yeah.
Yeah, it went to a time limit draw.
Yeah.
Sanchez, I think it might have been.
I don't know.
No, I thought it was Jose Estrada.
It might have been.
I think it was.
Because those were the guys that Vince would put the new guys in the ring, him and Rods. So they'd say, "Oh, this guy's great on. This guy sucks."
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right. So were your friends and family into it? Uncle Mike, was he into it?
Uncle Mike, my Uncle Mike mildly liked wrestling.
Yep.
I mean, he was more of a sports fan. He watched it as like a lark, kind of a kick.
Right.
You know what I mean? Not knowing that I was going to become totally obsessed with it. And, he brought me to my first shows, 2 shows. I went to 2 shows at the Boston Garden at that time. And, he drove me in there. Busch beer and the beverage holder of his Ford Bronco.
Road soda.
Yeah. My dad drank beers every day, man, driving around the city back in the day.
Yeah, the 80s were a hell of a time.
Yes.
Now they want to arrest you for it.
What do you think I was doing before I got here? But yeah. But he was, and the thing is just like, he was just like, I mean, it's fake.
Yeah.
And I'm not claiming to be a genius or anything, but I mean, even I could like look at it and be like, something about this doesn't seem quite right. But whatever, I don't care.
Yeah. You liked it.
Yeah. But as far as the rest of my family, my mother freaking hated it.
That's my mother. She still to this day won't even let me talk about it at her house.
Yeah, well, I mean, she used to come into the living room, and if I was watching wrestling on Saturday morning, she would literally like, boom, go outside and do something else. This is stupid. And actually the dedication in my book, I say, for my mother who discouraged wrestling as much as she encouraged writing. The result is this book and the content of this book.
Well, if you like to agitate people, you start right at home.
Exactly. Nice. Right. There you have it.
So, Sean, how'd you get in the business?
I got a phone call one day. I mean, this is really how it started. It was my last year of college, Emerson in Boston, 1999. Damn, 20 years ago. And I got a phone call, and it was my childhood friend growing up, Taco. We called him Taco because he was Puerto Rican, because we were racist back then,
right?
In the 80s.
Now it's racist.
Yeah.
Well, in our small lily white town in Medfield, he was like the only sort of ethnic kid, but he was a big dude, and he was the only one, like in my town, in my class, and in my grade, who was like as obsessed with wrestling as I was. Right. And we used to talk like, because I was always, how should I put this? Skinny. And he was a big dude, and he was just like, someday.
Not quite waifish.
Yeah, right. Not quite. But he was just like, someday I'm going to be a wrestler, and you're going to be my manager. I mean, we used to talk about this like in the 4th grade. And, he just called me one day, and he was like, listen, I started training, Walter Kowalski's. I started to get booked for shows, and he's just like, why don't you just like come around with me? And I'll introduce you to some people. And, the first event that I went to was J.C. Marks down in Pawtucket, Rhode Island. NCW, which is still around.
Yeah,
yes,
still around. Yeah,
still around. Yeah. And, it was basically just like, hey, this is my buddy Sean. He wants to be a manager. And, they were pretty loosey-goosey at that time.
Right.
They were just like, all right, get out there, get the microphone. We'll see what you can do. And I'm sure it's on tape somewhere.
Right.
But I got on the mic, and I just razzed the crowd. And I remember this so vividly. I went backstage, and JC was just like, hey, do you want to do this again? Because you're like awesome. And I was like, yeah, no problem.
Nice.
And it just went from there.
Well, you definitely were a great promo, man. There's no doubt about it. So that pretty much answered both. The next question was, tell us about the first show you worked. So,
Yeah.
all right. So before we get into any more questions, I want to say, like you said, you're a published author with 2 books. The first one was Until We Are Strangers Again.
There it is. I'm looking at it right now. I don't know if the people at home can see that, but I'm looking at it right now.
They have it on.
Yeah.
And the second one is Stories from the Handbasket.
You got it.
You can get them both, on Amazon?
Amazon.com or wherever fine books are sold.
Nice. Pick them up, guys. All right. So I told you off air that I reached out to a mutual friend because I don't want to do the same interviews that you've been doing here and there,
All right.
So George gave me a bunch of stuff. How about, do you have any ribs that stick out from when you were, in locker rooms and things like that?
That were done to me or we did to other people?
You did to other people. Were they done to you too?
No, actually.
I was going to say, I didn't think they would.
No, I think I'm that guy, he's not physically imposing, but if you mess with him, he might slit your throat.
Yeah.
No, I wasn't a big fan of ribs.
Okay.
Because honestly, the line is never really defined, and for the most part, people don't go over the line.
Right.
But sometimes people do.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, but it was the Wild Boys, 2 great kids. I was managing DC Dillinger and Eddie Edwards, and we liked them. And DC and Eddie were working them. And they stole their gear bags, and it was in the Quincy Armory. There were, cross beams, much like here. And they took their bags and they duct taped them to the ceiling, and they threw their skateboards up on some rafter or something like that. And they came in and oh, where's our stuff? And everyone just trying not to crack was just right above their heads.
Yeah.
Right there, and where's our stuff? Honestly, that was about it.
All right.
That's about it.
I just remember, that's kind of the gear out of reach is kind of an old one.
Yeah.
Because I remember when I was doing TVs, and the Nasty Boys were the loudest assholes. Sorry, I swore. I broke the ice. They were the loudest guys backstage, and they would just not shut up.
Yep.
So the Undertaker just took the big long overcoats and just put them on a beam that they couldn't reach.
Oh, yeah.
And then, Jerry Saggs had a vertical leap of about 1.5 inches.
Yeah, probably the same as me.
Yeah, so he couldn't get at it. It just, it's pretty common.
Right.
But they do get a little mean sometimes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I've heard some mean ones. But that was basically from WWE days and stuff. Can you tell us about what you were thinking when you refused to blow off a chaotic booking to host a radio show with Sheldon Goldberg? That's ending your, I'm going to say, epic run in NECW.
I had totally forgotten about that until you just mentioned it. And I cannot actually say that that's completely true. Maybe it is.
George.
Maybe it's not. He might be right. He's probably right.
Right.
Okay, he's probably. I'm just going to go on the assumption that George is correct.
Okay.
And what does it really boil down to? I was getting paid for the chaotic show. I was not getting paid for the radio show.
Right.
And that's that. And I got to tell you, at the time that I was in the business, I did not like breaking kayfabe.
Right. Yeah, that's what I heard you say.
Now,
that
was
today.
I the last freaking guy in the wrestling business to preserve kayfabe?
Oh, yeah. Probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yes.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go.
All right. Thoughts on George Carroll as a booker in NECW?
Oh, George Carroll, is a student of the business.
Absolutely.
He loves it way more than I do
Right.
to this day.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And, he's, I think he knew what his wheelhouse was.
Right.
He knew, I guess like me, actually, I never really wanted to be a wrestler. I
Right.
always wanted to be a manager because I grew up in those glory years. But George was like, you know what? I'm not really cut out to be a wrestler, but I still love this. What can I do?
Right.
And so he was a booker. Yeah. And I remember he would just study, old tapes from, World Class and the shoot interviews with Dusty Rhodes and the bookers and just what works, what doesn't, the times of things, how to book, a 1 hour show and all things like that. I have nothing but love and respect for George Carroll.
I never had the patience for doing that kind of job. I just never did. I tried it a couple times and I I get mad at somebody get thrown, and I'd quit in a huff and
Right.
a couple of shows, and then be done.
Well, like you said with George, I mean, he did a lot really good things with New Japan Pro Wrestling. When they were coming over to the United States, and now he's working for MLW.
Right.
So I mean, he's doing great.
Absolutely.
All right, thoughts on Sheldon Goldberg as an owner?
I mean, Sheldon Goldberg, I mean, a guy who has a passion for this business. I mean,
Historian.
Yeah, I mean, before I started working for Sheldon, I just knew him from the A&E. Remember the A&E?
Yes, the documentary there.
It said Sheldon Goldberg, wrestling historian.
Yep.
I'm just like, how does one become a wrestling historian?
I don't know, but I think I am one too. Honestly, it's like I've been watching wrestling for so long. I know even before I started watching.
Sometimes it's kind of like being the expert at carrying the pointy stick around the park and stabbing the trash.
Yeah, I do that. I do that once a week at my job. All right, thoughts on working NECW at its peak, and thoughts on working for Chaotic at its peak, because you did work both places. They were pretty hot.
I'm not sure I worked for Chaotic at their peak
No?
because I definitely came in after the Vince McMahon show,
Right.
Which I think Jamie would even admit that was definitely their peak.
I wish I was there that night.
As he said, I did a podcast with him recently.
Yeah.
He was like, I should have just closed the company after that.
That was
Right.
that was surreal.
It really was.
I wasn't there for it. I was just like, what the hell
And
just happened?
Malonis, you know, it's
Yeah,
just
right. Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah,
Awesome
it's
stuff.
a great story. But I mean, I will say, yes, probably I was working for NECW at their peak. And I said this, the dearly departed DC Dillinger, I said this when I gave his eulogy, and I don't mind saying it here, and I said it then. It was the best time of my life. And I mean, let me tell you something. We were all single.
Yep.
We were main eventing all over New England. And we all, I think I always wanted to meet other guys, and I did, who had the same mentality that I did, which was, we are going to get all the girls, we are going to drink all the booze, and we are going to be the best on the show. And boom, magic happened.
Absolutely.
So yeah, my time in NECW was definitely the best time of my life. Chaotic was like a lot of fun.
Yep.
I'm not saying they were on like the downturn, but I
Right.
think Jamie is right. Like, there's no way you're ever going to top having
No, how do you?
Yeah.
John Cena and Vince McMahon
Yeah.
on one of your shows.
Yeah.
Didn't you get a call from someone that night when they were there?
Yeah. So
I know it's great. It's a great story.
Yeah. I just happened to have the night off that night because Chaotic ran Fridays.
Yes.
And
Which they still do.
They still do.
They still
right,
run Fridays.
which sucked, by the way. And I was
Oh,
reminded
yeah.
of that driving up here
Uh-huh.
with freaking traffic.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just happened to have a rare night off, and I was doing pub trivia with some friends of mine, and my phone rang, and it was Nikki Rocks. Sorry, Nikki, but I ignored the call. I take pub trivia very seriously. And about 10 minutes later, my phone rang again. It was Nikki again. And I don't know if this is pessimistic or just the nature of the business, but immediately I thought, somebody's dead. I mean, seriously, that was my
Yeah.
first thought.
Oh, yeah. It happens, unfortunately.
Yeah. So I looked at my buddies, who I was doing pub trivia with, and I said, I got to take this. So I went outside, I took the call, and Nikki was just like, you're not going to believe this. And I was like, what? And then she told me, I'm like, wait, like Vincent Kennedy McMahon.
No, Vince P. McMahon.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
That's crazy.
And you were right about those riots, but the traffic around here on a Friday night.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
Yeah,
but I
close.
enjoy the Friday nights because that's the only night I can go to shows now. It used to be Sundays, but now it's Fridays.
For fans, it's great.
Yeah.
And Jamie was smart to run on Friday nights
Definitely.
because most promotions do not.
Right.
Getting to the shows freaking sucked.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And Brian's doing a great job with them right now, too. They got a great roster. All right. Thoughts on WWW Wrestling, the women's promotion. And you were the only male on the show, right? Am I
Besides
right?
the referees.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that was a nice time.
That was a particularly heinous cackle.
Again, I was single.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
It was nice. But I mean, I honestly, I have no problem admitting this. I was a big fan of Glow growing
Yeah,
up
I like Glow
as a kid.
I didn't.
because we like women.
But isn't it funny, Mav? WWE now is Glow. The vignettes backstage.
Oh, well, that part of it,
and
yes,
like
definitely.
the wink, wink, nod, nod. I mean,
Yeah.
dude, mainstream WWE is totally glow. Right?
Presentation-wise?
Yeah.
Presentation-wise, yeah.
Yeah.
And I was happy to do it. And actually, a lot of the girls there, about half could like work well,
Right.
But really none of them, except Nikki, like to do promos or like to talk.
Oh, okay.
So I was just like a natural fit.
Right.
And a manager managing a woman wrestler goes all the way back to Jim Cornette. I think he managed
Might have been Cat LaRoe.
Oh, Sherry.
Yeah, Sherry Martel.
Sherry
yeah,
Martel
yeah.
as well, but he
Yeah.
did do it.
Cat
Misty Blue was working with some of the girls on the show
from around here, right?
Yeah,
Like Cat LaRoe, and what was the other one? Linda Dallas.
and he would occasionally sub in and actually manage them.
Right. It's crazy.
And watching me getting beat up by a chick, I mean, the fans just loved it.
Right.
So
Oh, anytime someone got their hands on you, the fans were very happy because you were so hated, man.
Oh, yeah.
And DC was probably the greatest heel. Honestly, I'm not just saying that because you're sitting there. I've said it before.
Yeah.
Ever in New England. The
Oh,
guy
yeah.
could come out, not say a word, and everybody wanted to boom. They didn't have the balls to want to hit. They wanted to hit him, but they didn't have the balls to hit him.
Yeah.
You
And putting
know?
us together was like dynamite.
Yeah. And him and Eddie were great tag team. Phenomenal.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right. What about you? Do you have any favorite memory from WWW?
Those shows were held on Sunday afternoons at the Good Times Emporium in
Right.
Somerville, which is like an arcade. For all you youngsters out there, an arcade was an establishment that had video games.
For all you youngsters who never went to Good Times,
Yeah.
it was a stabbing there every night.
Yeah. So they were held on Sunday afternoons, and Eddie and DC would always come to the show to hang out with me, but really just hang out with the chicks.
Right.
And so anyway, there was something booked where a crossover, and me, Eddie, and DC came out to the ring to cut a promo. And Eddie, who may or may not have had a couple drinks, he just gets on the mic and he goes, "Hey, you guys want to hear a joke? Women's wrestling." When you asked me that question, that's the first memory that came to mind.
Really? Wow. All right.
I would agree with that, by the way.
Can you tell us?
Hashtag me too.
Can you tell us about the legendary parties at DC's place? The Christmas parties, the Memorial Day bashes.
Probably not on this.
Yeah.
Probably not on this broadcast.
Too good of a time.
Yeah, they were really fun. I just remember the first. Dave loved Christmas.
Yeah.
I hate Christmas, but his parties were awesome. But I remember, it was just like this raucous party. He had in his living room. We called it the pit, and that's where people would fight. You know what I mean? I remember I got really
In the house.
I got really liquored
He was
up.
really excitable, wasn't he?
Oh, yeah. I remember I got really liquored up. Hey, speaking of Peter McNeely charging Tyson, I got really liquored up one time and it was like, I could totally fight Eddie Edwards. I don't sweat him. And I just charged him and grabbed him and he's just like, what? And he snap-mared me in the middle of the living room and it shook the whole house. And I didn't feel it till the next day.
Well, yeah.
But then, things were raucous and, here's a good one. Dave came out with a dish of black olives. And he's just walking out to the living room all casual, and Wagner Brown was there.
Yeah.
And Wagner Brown just went down on the floor and gave him a schoolboy.
Yeah.
And I see the image so vividly. Dave was just like, Wagner, I got olives. Those olives went just flying across the room. So those are the Christmas parties at the Cahill Castle.
Nice. All right. Do you remember where you were and how you felt when you heard about DC passing away?
I was in my office, and Matt Almeida, who wrestled as...
I don't remember what he
Yeah,
was
some
as.
dude. I love Matty. Some dude in vinyl pants. He texted me and he was just like, and I hate that. Don't you hate that everything is done through text now? I feel like an occasion like that warrants a phone call.
Yeah,
With
that
a
one.
text, you got it.
I got a text. I got a text
Yeah,
from Maddie.
no, that's a phone call.
That's a phone call,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Yeah, Maddie, what's your problem, man?
Absolutely.
You know, give
Sorry,
me-
Maddie.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I guess you don't know what to do in that situation completely.
Yeah.
But still.
I don't know. It's whatever. It's 21st century.
Right.
But no, I was just sitting in my office and he said, Dave is dead. Well, as you can imagine, I thought he was joking.
Right.
But he wasn't. And I said, okay, is this a rib? And he's just like, and when he texted back, I really wish it was, but it's not. And yeah, that sucked. That sucked.
Oh, I'm sure.
A lot, you know.
Yep.
Because my interactions with him weren't, I didn't have that many. We would argue about, he loved the Buffalo Bills for some reason.
Yeah.
Which automatically made me question his judgment because they've been horrible for years. But
I think that they were good in the 80s, right?
Yeah,
Yes,
when he
yes.
was little, yeah,
Right,
they
yeah,
were
yeah.
they were
Yeah.
really good
Right.
back then.
Yes.
They went to didn't they go to 4 straight Super Bowls?
Yes,
and
they did.
lost 4 straight
yes,
Super
they did.
Bowls.
But they got there.
Yes, they did.
So Dave was a fair weather fan. But he just stuck with them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Any fun stories you can share from post show or road trips with DC and Eddie?
Oh, geez. I was.
Again, probably not for this show.
Yeah.
Are you sorting through the warrants in your head? or-
Yeah. Yeah. Well, do I get into it in the book? I don't know. Anyway, Eddie got booked for promotion up in Maine, something WE.
IWE.
IWE.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's not Larry. It's the other Sonny Roselli.
Yeah, I don't know alphabet soup. I just don't.
Yeah.
You know?
IWE. Maine.
Well, this was, you know, at the point where Eddie was, you know, getting more popular.
Right.
And so it was actually, I mean, Eddie was, I mean, from the promoter's perspective, the main attraction.
Yep.
But, you know, it was DC and I, you know, were also booked. And, you know, they put us up in a hotel. Geez, I can't, I mean, there was a girl. There was phone calls about bologna and mayonnaise. I can't really get into, but I will tell you that we definitely trashed that hotel room like Motley Crue in 1985.
Nice.
And there was Marks staying in the room next to us.
Oh boy.
And I was just,
Machina.
I was like, how are these people not complaining right now? And the next morning, we're all like walking out like hungover. Here's a good story. Dave had taken home a young lady from the club that we were at the previous night, and she was just sitting there. She was sitting there in the on the bed the next morning like this, and I went out to my car and I opened my trunk, and I just happened to have these, you know, garbage bags for garbage, you know.
Yeah.
And I was just like, so I grabbed one of the bags and I kicked the hotel door in. I'm just like, all right, Dave, you cut her up, I'll put her in the bag. And she, and she was just like, eh. I'm just like, I'm just kidding. Maybe.
That's
Well, you had the duct tape from the other rib, so
yeah.
Ah.
all right. Now, how about memories or anything? You know, fun stories working with Alex Aria, who, in my eyes, is probably the best wrestler never to be signed anywhere.
Yeah, you
In New
know,
England. He
yeah.
was so good.
And I think Al and I are actually very parallel with our trajectory in the business because we're actually the exact same age. And I think that, like, if we had been born a little earlier, right, and like have come of age in the 80s, we might have gone on to bigger and better
Right,
things. And,
right.
I mean, wrestling is cyclical.
Yeah.
And it seems like it's starting to
Yeah.
come up now. So if we've been either born earlier or later, we
Right.
might have done a little more in wrestling than we actually did. But Al's one of those guys who's just like, I mean, I guess I would put you in this category. You're just like a normal dude. You got a wife,
Yeah.
you
well,
got
yeah.
kids,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And he just loved wrestling, and he went and he wrestled. And that was it. He wasn't like a wild and crazy guy,
Right.
but I loved managing him.
Yeah.
Because, you know, he was from that era when he knew how to use a manager.
Right.
You know what I mean? And a lot of young guys don't.
Yeah.
I don't fault them for it. They didn't come up in that time.
Right.
You know? So, yeah, I loved working with Al. I don't really have any crazy stories
Okay.
about him, but other than like, him and Scott Reed, it was a little weird managing them because I was like a foot taller than the both of them.
Right.
So
Yeah, that was pretty short, actually.
Yeah.
yeah.
Probably
yeah.
the biggest thing that held him back, actually. in some
Yeah,
ways.
but he was smart though, because I remember him saying that. I don't know if you ever noted. I mean, you can watch now, but he wouldn't run, but he would walk pretty briskly to the ring.
Yes. Yeah, he wouldn't. Yeah.
Just so
He wanted to get in the ring.
Right.
so the fans wouldn't.
He'd be
see-
elevated,
Yeah,
so they
right,
wouldn't.
exactly.
They
right.
wouldn't even expose the height.
It didn't really help, when we were cutting promos backstage. And,
Right.
I was just like, you want to stand on like a stool, maybe?
But he was truly, when I wrestled him many times over the years, he probably was one of the most purely talented guys
It's unbelievable.
I've
Light
ever
as a
been in the
feather.
ring. I mean, I've been in the ring with guys like Doug Williams and stuff,
Right.
and Eddie too, for that matter.
Oh,
You know,
he was awesome.
They would just
Still is awesome. I
Al
shouldn't
was
say
just That's probably why Brian brought him back. For
Yeah.
Yeah.
For that
Would
last
build his
match,
retirement
which you were
show.
also there for.
Yes, yeah. And Eddie will tell you, and both Eddie and Dave, everyone says that Al was the best wrestler in this era.
He really
He
was,
was.
awesome.
He was
Yeah.
spectacular.
Yeah.
You know what it was? There's some guys that can do it from the heel side of it, and some guys can do it from the baby face. Nobody could do both sides like
Right,
Al.
like-
Right,
He
yeah.
was
yeah.
so good at it.
I remember
both
seeing
ends.
you guys at the Ring of Honor show. That first one they did in Mass,
Yeah, that's probably
which led me to end up catering them for 2 years. You guys got screwed over by them, though. I wasn't too happy when I found out that, you know what I mean? They just really wanted to use you guys because you were local. Just pretty shitty, I
Did
think.
I ever tell you the van story?
What's that?
I don't want to cut into
All
this
right,
stuff too
we'll
much.
talk about
Yeah.
it after. Who do you see as being the perfect person that you worked with locally that would have translated to big business for a major promotion on national TV?
Dave and Eddie.
Yeah,
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not even
right.
right. I mean, but the business, and this is, spoiler alert, it's like the second to last chapter in my book. Dave was just so determined to get to the WWE,
Right.
And he just didn't. In my opinion, he didn't understand. I'm like, Dave, it's not the WWF of 1985.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
it's a lot different.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
it just like you get a script for the pro. You know what I mean? Like, how can you script DC Dillinger?
Yeah. No,
How
never.
can you script Sean Gorman?
Right.
How could you script Roddy Piper, Dusty Rhodes?
Yeah.
How could you write those characters? Yeah, we're gonna put a guy in a kilt and get him all coked up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's something that just like happens organically.
Yep.
You know what I mean? But he was just like, no, I think we can make it. And he had the heart of a lion, man.
Right.
He was tenacious till the end. Where I was just like, I'm all set.
Yeah, it's just the control that they exert.
Yeah.
and I hate
It's one of the
it. It's-
reasons why Dean Ambrose, John Moxley left the WWE because he was so sick of getting scripts
Yeah.
when he didn't need one.
Yeah, I couldn't do it.
Yeah. All right. Any opportunities you passed on that you regret?
When I was in college, before I was in the business, we used to go see ECW at the Revere Dog Track.
Yes.
And some buddies of mine, there was a very small contingent at Emerson College of dudes who watch wrestling. This is like the mid 90s,
Right.
before it like really blew up. And just by happenstance, because they were into lighting design
Yep.
and all that stuff, they got hooked up with Paul Heyman and they would do ring crew and lighting and stuff like that. And I'll never forget this, but a buddy of mine, Tim Davis, called me and he was just like, hey, he's just like, tomorrow morning, we're going to do ring crew for ECW. And I don't know, it was at whatever it was, 3:00.
Right.
And honestly, and I mean, I don't want, maybe I'll come off like an alcoholic here, but I'd really tied one off before. And I was just in no condition to do ring crew.
Yeah.
But sometimes I wonder if that would have like opened up like opportunities.
Could have.
Well, a lot of guys transitioned off their ring crew into training,
Right.
and so.
That's true. So maybe that was a error in judgment on my part. Probably not, though.
All right. Who's the one guy or girl that you worked with that you were sure was going to make it, but didn't?
None.
Okay.
I mean, honestly, for me anyway, it was easy to see the people, not necessarily that like this person is definitely going to make it.
Right.
But just like this person definitely has the potential to make it.
Yes.
Nikki Rocks definitely had the potential to make it. Die Hard Eddie Edwards definitely had the
Yeah.
potential to make it. Sasha Banks definitely had the potential to make it.
Right.
Yeah, I you know what I
Okay.
mean? Like, I don't know. For me, it was always like there's this and that.
Right.
And the this people were a very small category. The others were a large majority.
Right.
Good, but not
Right.
That
to the-
material.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
material. Yeah.
All right. Who was the biggest asshole disappointment that you worked with?
That I worked with?
Yeah. Did you have anybody that you like wish you didn't work with because you didn't get along with them?
No, honestly. I managed Fala and Congo in Chaotic Wrestling. They were great guys. I didn't think it was like a particularly good fit. It was kind of like Bobby Heenan when he managed the Islanders.
Right.
They need more of like a Kim Shi or a Friday.
Right.
Like as just a handler.
That was the one thing I was going to actually ask you about.
Yeah.
Now, most of the time, the managers, local shows, and then on the old '80s WWF TV, they were just a lot more cartoonish.
Right.
They really were.
Yeah. Oh,
Lassie being a little less cartoonish, but not really. I mean, you were very different than a lot of the managers around here in that
Yes.
regard. And I don't mean different bad. I mean
Right.
it was very different because as much as I love guys like this, and I'm not crapping on them, like Marshall McNeil, go out in his little jumpsuit. There are a few others, and the name
Adam Barasano was a good
I
manager.
almost thought he was a knockoff of you, to be frank with you. Sorry, Adam.
He'd probably admit that.
Yeah, he probably would. I think I told him the first time I met him.
Yeah.
Are you Sean Gorman's brother?
Yeah.
But Sidney
Yeah.
Bacabella is totally different than what he does.
Who?
Sidney Bacabella.
Joey Eastman.
Joey Eastman.
So I mean, that's
Yeah.
what was around in this area.
Right.
So
Right. Yeah. I mean, listen. I mean, it's a dying art. Though I hear that WWE might be bringing managers back.
That's what I had heard
Little
too,
by
because
little,
Robbie
yeah.
E is supposedly down there in NXT managing people. So
Yeah.
we'll see if they bring him back.
Yeah, I remember like Evan Six said to me, he was just like, "You are just like someone put the '80s in a blender." It's just like you were this weird combination of like Jim Cornette, J.J. Dillon, Bobby Heenan, and Jimmy Hart, like all just like, like
I even thought a little Gary Hart, to be frank with you.
Gary Hart, greatest manager in my eyes.
But no, but he was kind of dull as dirt sometimes. Though.
Yeah, he was.
All right, who was your favorite promoter?
I mean, I got to say, like, I mean, I don't mean to like dodge the question,
Right.
but like, I got to put Jamie and Sheldon like on equal ground on that one.
Boy, they'd hate you for that, both of them.
you're right about that. You're right about that. I just like, Jamie had a very well-oiled operation.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Very.
In Chaotic Wrestling, and I think. Sheldon was an excellent promoter as far as getting stuff on radio and television and all that stuff. He was also, I guess, my first quote unquote big break in the Indies.
Right.
Was through Sheldon because he saw my talent. And,
Yep.
Gave me the vehicle for that. So.
Now I worked for both those guys too,
Yeah.
and but I would, not. It was like the class before you, basically. I mean, you basically kind of ended up being there.
Sorry, Susan, I take the
That's
shot.
fine.
Go
Go right
right
ahead. I mean, you would end up being in both these places like right after I would leave them. So,
Oh, wow.
So there was only room for improvement.
Yeah.
Right. All right, I'm not going to ask this question because it's none of my business. It's what it is. What's your biggest payday? I don't think that's anybody's
What's
business.
what?
What was your biggest payday?
Oh, I'll answer that.
That's a good question.
I
like
don't
that question.
know. I
Dude,
come
I'm out
from
of the
people
business.
don't ask me what I make for money.
I'm out of the business.
Okay.
I'll crap
All right.
on everything. Biggest payday. You were there for it.
Oh boy.
Was that women's show
Really?
up in Plymouth, New Hampshire? Well, because who was the money guy?
Oh yeah.
Dude, what's his name? Wolfman?
Oh, Wolfie.
Wolfman. Yes.
Wolfie. Jason.
Yes.
a dude who
Love
legitimately
Jason.
won
Yeah.
the lottery.
Powerball, right?
64 million, I think it was.
Oh, really?
Yes, it
Yeah.
was that high.
Great guy, though, too. He
So he stiffed you.
Huh?
So
No.
he stiffed you.
Kathy handed me my cash. Jeff Costa did not.
No.
But she handed me $75 that night. And she's
Nice.
like, is that good? I'm like, oh, that's good.
awesome.
See, now, I know you have difference with the guy. The guy who paid me the most ever was actually Jeff Costa when it was on his own dime,
Yep. Well, seeing he's been brought up, Sonny had a question. What was it, Sonny? Let's see. Sonny
Sonny who?
Goodspeed.
Goodspeed? Yeah.
He said
Good guy.
that he wants to know Your thoughts or your dealings with Jeff? I know you worked one show with him. I know that.
I could actually tell this story, but
I think you did already on this show.
Yeah, did
I'm pretty sure you did.
think
Either you or Sonny,
yeah.
because you guys were the only ones that I know personally that were there. But what did he take to stand in the corner like you were in, like?
Yeah, like I'm,
Yeah.
what's his name? The Grand Wizard or whatever.
Right.
You know, and do you remember, like, Sonny reminded me of this at the Hall
Yes.
of Fame thing this year. You're just like, you know, he yelled at you. You know,
You yelled back at him. Yeah. It wasn't a pleasant exchange. I stood there dumbfounded.
Right.
What the hell is going on here?
But there was a little more history to that. Jeff had just he went to an NECW show and he had just walked into the locker room.
In Tingsboro.
No,
Okay.
no,
Wasn't
that
it?
was later.
Quincy
Oh,
Armory,
okay.
No,
wasn't
no,
it?
that was
Okay.
that was we
Oh,
shall
yeah.
say the final straw.
Right.
No, the first straw was he walked into the NECW locker room and you know, and he looked at Dave and he just goes, "You're supposed to be a wrestler. You look like a scarecrow or whatever."
Yeah.
And Dave was just like, and Alex Arion, the conscience of New England wrestling,
Yep.
looked at Dave and he just like, he was taping his fist. He just go, "Dave, let it go." And probably the only dude that Dave would listen to.
Right.
And Dave was just like, "All right." Then the incident up in New Hampshire happened, where he got on my case. I have speculation as to why he disliked me so much.
Okay.
Which I won't get into here. But you know, he yelled at me. You know, don't touch the girls. And Malaya Hosaka wanted me to get involved in the match.
Right.
I was just like, whatever. So there was that blow up.
Yep.
Then in Tingsboro, he showed up again, uninvited at a show, claiming that Sheldon was running in his territory.
Yeah.
And apparently, like he, you know, this was all going on during the main event.
Right.
We were all out at the ring.
Yeah.
And like he kicked a cameraman like in the shin or something like that. And we
Brian.
the-
I think his name
Nadu.
was. Yeah, Brian Nadu.
Yes.
Yep.
Who was originally trained by Jeff.
oh, really?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
And
Add little elements to your story.
yeah, we got backstage immediately, and George was just like, "Dude, you know, Jeff Costa just came here like causing a problem." Dave was like, "Where is he?"
Yeah.
Me, Dave, and George went out into the parking lot and told him about himself, and that was that.
Right. Yep. All right. Do you have any regrets on how your career ended?
No. And again, in
Yeah.
my book, Until the Strangers
Right.
Again, it's the conversation that I have with Dave because he wants to keep going.
Right.
And I quote Jack Nicholson from the movie As Good as It Gets. I say, "Dave, what if this is as good as it gets?"
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, what if we never get to the WWE
Right.
or TNA? You know, most people don't ever even get to like touch their childhood dreams.
Yeah.
But at least we lived it on like a local level. You know, I'm personally happy with that.
Right.
You know, he wasn't. So
You wanted more.
he did.
Yep.
He did. Like I said, he had the heart of a lion.
Right.
And, you know,
If he didn't pass, who knows? I mean, Eddie has got a little bit of pull with the companies that he worked for. You know what I mean? He got his wife involved too. You never know. I mean, Dave could have, you know, you never know.
yeah.
You know, 'cause he
mean-
definitely was talented.
Again, speaking of being born at the wrong time,
Right.
because he was older. But he's like, no. And I'm just like, I'm good with it.
Right.
You know, but so no.
Okay. And I think I know the answer to this already, but do you ever see yourself coming back?
If there's enough zeros on the check.
Okay. Well, how about this then? I'll skip a fan question, and then I'll go to the next
Yeah,
one.
fans.
Kenny
with
Lockhart
those
says,
bars.
if WWE or AEW offered to sign you, who would you choose and why? I mean, you just...
I would have to be familiar with their roster to answer
Okay.
that question. I am not.
All right. I'm going to bring this up real quick because you're the only person that I know now that I met you, that ever said anything about G.G. Allen, the most crazy rock and roll star from New Hampshire. I hate even calling him a star because he was just batshit crazy.
Well, yeah, he definitely, yeah, he was a dude who was just like, all right, you have like mental illness. Here's a microphone.
Yep.
But yeah, he's buried in Littleton, New Hampshire. And geez, I feel like I'm telling like all the good stories from my book. So I guess I'll like keep this a little vague.
Yeah.
But I got drunk before a chaotic show.
You know,
Sorry, Jamie.
A lot of your stories start off this way. We're ending up this way.
You know.
I'm Irish. And Yeah, we desecrated his grave
Right.
before a Chaotic show.
Yeah.
And if you want to know the details, pick
Read
up
the
my
book. That's it.
Right.
Yep. All right. So Tim Kilgore
Yeah.
says, who was the best person you managed and why it was me? Why was it me? I don't think
Wasn't
that's
him.
the answer you're looking for, though, Tim.
He was the best. And it was just all downhill from there.
There you go, Tim. I was
Career's
wrong.
been a complete letdown since that.
All right. All right. Anthony Miller wants to know favorite chaotic moment.
My exit from Chaotic Wrestling when I fired Rich Palladino.
Yeah.
And he came back under a hood and speared me, which the pop, in the small little Polish American Veterans Club of Lowell was like WrestleMania 3, Hogan slamming Andre. So it's little moments. The fans just love that. And I was the president of Chaotic in the Angle, and I lost the presidency, and all the baby faces came out to the ring, which I didn't know about, actually, by the way. They all came out to the ring and
sang a little song, yep.
And the crowd, hey, 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 goodbye. And I tried so hard to cry. I even told them, I'm like, zoom in on me when I'm in the aisle. I'm going to try to cry. I couldn't. My lip quivered, but I didn't cry. But that was just great. It was just what a perfect way to go out. And I think that might be one of the many reasons why I never came back.
Right.
Because what a perfect way to go out.
Yeah, no doubt. Absolutely.
I literally jobbed to the entire company.
Right.
Even if, sometimes when you leave too, it doesn't even matter if you had that kind of an exit. It just really, it's over. You've done everything you can in one place, and why go back?
Yeah.
You brought up Lowell. I'm from Lowell. What do you really think of the fans of Lowell? Dan Bolia's question.
Well, the fans in Chaotic in Lowell, and I said this to Jamie, they were like fish in a barrel. I was just like, oh my God, like I could just like work this crowd like freaking Mozart.
Yeah.
So true.
And I did. They were just so easy.
Oh, yeah.
It always struck me that a lot of guys want to go spot crazy there. I'm like,
why?
Take a look out at what you're dealing with here.
Mav gets it. Why would you do that?
Right.
They're already hot.
They're there to be entertained.
Right.
Oh, that's great. All right. JP Griffin wants to know, what's the most heat you ever got? Where were you guys?
Everett.
Everett, yeah.
Yeah, a fan jumped in the ring. Another story from the book.
Yeah.
I was on the mic, just doing my regular thing. It was at a rec center, gymnasium.
Yeah.
Pretty big house.
Run by the cop.
The cop.
Yeah, and Sam Amato used to help him out with that.
Yes. And, I'm just on the microphone doing my thing. And all of a sudden we look over and there's a dude there, wearing like a short sleeve shirt with a collar. He kind of looked like security. And that was my first thought. I was just like, why is security in the ring right now? And then all of a sudden, like, he just shoved Eddie. And then like 3 light bulbs went off over our heads, me, Dave, and Eddie. Like, whoa, this is a fan. Like, and then all of a sudden, like, Eddie just tackled him.
Right.
And Dave, like, I'll never forget this as long as I live. Like, Adam Vinatieri going for a field goal, just like, boom, kicked that guy in the face. I'm like, well, Dave just killed the guy. So this is a thing that happened. And because it was run by the police, they immediately charged the ring and yanked the guy out. All his Puerto Rican friends were definitely not happy that happened. So me, being slightly insane, cool the situation? No. I said, if anyone else wants to jump in the ring, feel free. And they all started like pushing, and we had an escort to our vehicles that night. That happened in the 21st century.
Right.
Yeah. Piper tells us had a similar story with he was with Flair in
the cucaracha on the bagpipes.
No, this was even worse. He was overseas, and I think it might have been the Dominican Republic, and
not good. They're crazy.
Well, he was wrestling a local guy. They were supposedly undefeated, and Roddy Piper just got him all wound up, and the militia was at the side of the ring, and it was rough.
Yeah.
Mike Jazz, remember Mike Jazz? I don't see him around at shows too much
Good guy
anymore.
Yeah,
How
very.
many concussions have you had?
Only one.
Only one?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was a steel cage match. Alex Arion versus Max Bauer. Dave was a special ref. Dave was a babyface at this time. I was still a heel. I was managing Al. And the spot was I was going to climb the cage to interfere. Dave was going to grab me at the top of the cage and throw me to the floor. And George and JP were just like, well, catch it like the cheerleaders, you know?
Yeah.
And they did. What they didn't do is protect my head from the barricade at ringside, which,
Jesus.
and you know in the movie Terminator?
Yep.
When the Terminator gets killed and it's from his point of view,
Yeah.
and it just goes,
Yep.
getting concussed is just like that.
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, it was just like
Absolutely.
that. Because then everything came to life.
Yep.
And the first thing I saw was George Carroll's big head, just like, that was great, Gorman, I love you. And like, like when you're concussed, you're trying to piece together all these things. I was just like, okay, I'm at a show. I'm on the floor. George is gay. I'm in Quincy. I just got thrown off the cage. I think I got knocked out. So that was the one and only time.
All right. Mike has a follow-up question. Do you have a favorite venue to work?
Actually, it was probably the place down in Fall River that Top Rope ran.
Oh, yeah,
yeah.
that place is it's just a nice hall.
Oh,
Right.
yeah,
It's
it
beautiful.
just perfect.
With the
Old,
balcony, right?
Yeah, with the
historic.
balcony.
Yeah, that place is awesome.
Yeah, I mean, similar to the Littleton Opera
Littleton
House.
Opera House,
The
yep.
reason I don't like that place is because that ride sucked.
Yeah.
But the place in Fall River, which I can't remember the police something.
It's the
PAL League.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
PAL
hall.
building.
Yes.
Right. It was much more intimate.
Right.
You know what I mean? But yeah, that place was great.
I like
Nice.
Rochester, if only because I'm not Rochester. I'm losing my mind. The one up north,
Littleton?
because they had the giant picture of Gorgeous George on the wall. at
That
one
was in
point.
Littleton.
Yeah, Littleton. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
Opera
Yeah.
House, right?
Yes.
The Opera
Yeah.
House, Littleton.
That's cool. I never went to a show up there. JP Griffin has another question. Have you ever fallen off a step cage? Is that what you just
What's a
talked-
step cage?
I have no idea. JP, what's a step cage?
I don't know. Why don't we ignore that question?
Ah,
Move to the next
sounds
one?
good.
Is he speaking some carny
I
that
don't
I
know
don't
why.
know?
I don't know why he wants you to bring this up, but Brian Privateer wants me to bring up the picture I have of Brian Fury in his red zebra trunks. I don't know.
I don't know what that is
I don't.
either.
Yeah.
I don't know.
All right.
I think he's almost asking me that because I sold them to him.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You said that. Stephen Page wants to know. Ask him if he ever got hit with anything at ringside. I know once you were spit on.
Oh God.
Anything else?
Yeah. Out in shoot. There's a town that sometimes people forget that Massachusetts borders New York. It was literally like the last town before New York.
Maybe Great Barrington,
Way
something
out
like
in
that
the
out
Berkshires.
there.
I think it started with an A. But anyway, an old lady literally took off her shoe and friggin' whipped it at me. That was at a Top Rope show. Can't remember who. I might have been managing Kathy. I think she might have worked Awesome Kong, actually.
Okay.
I remember walking Awesome Kong to the bathroom because she was terrified because the building that we were in was reportedly haunted.
All right.
And if you've ever heard her talk, she talks like Hooks from
Yes.
from
yes.
Police Academy. Like, oh, can you like wear me in the bathroom? Which is like weird when you
Right.
like, look at her.
All right. Dan Bolia wants to know any current New England wrestler you think you could be a great manager for if you had planned on returning.
I would have to be familiar with
I was
the New
gonna say,
England
are you-
roster to
are
answer
you
that
up on
question.
it?
But
Yeah.
I'm
There is
not.
some good talent around here right now, though. You know, a lot.
I believe that.
Let's we got 4.5 minutes to play the name game. How about
He sucks.
Tanya Lee?
Oh, I love Tanya. She, you know, like what a talent.
Right.
And I respect, unlike a lot of people, that when she walked away from the business, she walked away from the business.
Right.
That was it. Great talent, but you know, I think she started when she was like 15 or something. like
Yeah,
that.
I believe it's Steve Bradley's school.
Yeah.
I think I met her just as she was
Okay.
breaking
Yeah.
in.
She grew up fast and she decided she had enough. So
Yeah.
much respect for Tanya Lee.
How about, I got a name. How about Belmont? I don't even
Yeah.
know where you met her.
I adore Kathy.
Yes.
I always
mean,
have too.
Yeah, I mean, who doesn't? And
Yeah.
you know, I was very happy to induct her into the New
I was
England Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame. Were you?
Yeah, it was great.
Did we talk?
Nope.
Yes, we did.
We did?
Nah,
I don't know. I
Maybe
don't
we
think
didn't.
so.
Anyway, yeah, I mean, like I said, what I said in the speech was true. Yeah, she's everything that's good about the business. She wanted to be a professional wrestler,
Right.
and she busted her ass to
Oh,
do it.
she really, I helped a little with some of that.
Oh, with the training?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did. And she
Throw
was,
some more names, Matt.
Good Lord.
I got one real quick. Ryan Drew, because you said you worked down at Top Rope.
Yes, again, Ryan Drew, great guy. I think that he's a dude who just like our mindsets are just really, really parallel. And I managed him, but great, great mind for the business and just a good guy.
Cool.
Boy, putting me on the spot here. I wasn't ready for this. I don't know.
The Rock.
Oh,
Actually, okay, so I probably only met him once. Wolfman. Let's go there.
yeah.
I had
Don't know much?
No,
No.
I
All
had
right.
like zero.
You liked him because he paid you well.
Definitely.
All right. So how about what's that?
How about Max
the
Bauer?
Yeah, there
How
you
about
go.
Max
That's a
Bauer?
good name right there. Max Bauer.
He's fine.
All right.
Okay.
The Blowout Boys.
Oh yeah, those
Danny
dudes from
and
New
what
York.
was the other one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, dude.
I didn't have a ton of interaction with them.
Okay.
Great gimmick though.
Yeah.
One is a ref now in WWE, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
All right. Name that doesn't really ever get brought up. Tony Omega.
Was he around when you were around? I don't.
He was, yeah.
He was?
He and I worked together in Chaotic. He's fine.
Okay. Brian Fury.
Oh, Brian Fury. I mean, listen, this guy, way back when I first met him,
Yeah.
like if you had told me like this dude is gonna be like really important to New England wrestling, I probably wouldn't have believed it.
Right.
Especially like that dumb straight edge gimmick. That's a shoot. Respect.
Yeah.
I'm on the other end of the spectrum.
Yeah, me
I
too.
mean, you two both up.
No, but Brian, again, a dude who just really understands the business,
Yes.
and I just love that he took over Steve Bradley's school because somebody had to do it.
Right.
And I think that he's passing on the tradition, the art that is
Right.
somewhat being lost of professional wrestling, So yeah, nothing but love and respect.
Did you
for Brian
have any
Fury.
interaction with Steve Bradley?
I did not. Kathy showed him a promo of mine. He said it was really good, except I talked a little fast, but he said it was really good. But I never worked a show with him. I never met him.
Brandon Locke.
B-Lock, again, as a dude, very quiet backstage. I don't think liked cutting promos, so it was a good fit. I managed him, I think, fairly briefly. But yeah, good guy. Solid.
Ivar or Handsome Johnny is what most people know him as.
Yeah, handsome.
Yeah.
Again, great guy. Actually, to go back to
Yeah.
your question, I probably wouldn't have guessed that he would have been in WWE. But again, talk about a success story, broken back or whatever.
Oh yeah,
and,
I said here quite a bit that
problems.
he
Yeah,
would,
he was all
unless
screwed
the
up.
guy would have quit the business.
Oh, yeah,
but
yeah.
not him.
yeah.
You know?
And knew how to use a manager. I really liked Todd, and I really liked working with him.
Nice. Do you have anybody?
No, that's pretty much
Listen,
it.
Sean, I want to thank you for coming on. I'd shake your hand, but like I said, I know you're.
I salute you, sir.
There you go.
Boy, that was a quick hour.
It goes so
Very
fast. But
fast.
we'll talk. Hopefully, we'll get Sean back. Thanks, Matt. Thanks, Sean. Peace.
The preceding program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.